Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Daniel. I talk about Essendon. I've been going through all the players on Essendon's list. For those familiar with the channel who have been watching this, if you're not familiar and you're new, welcome. I hope you like it. And if you haven't subscribed, I would appreciate it if I could get that subscription. I'm closing in on 3,000 subscribers. It will be a nice milestone to be able to tick over that 3,000. Well, the player we're going to look at today and what they can bring to the team for 2026 is Matt Guelfi. I think Matt Guelfi is a bit of a fan favourite, a real Mr. Nice guy as well, does a lot of charity work with the kids, loyal club man as well. I don't know anyone that doesn't like him. You know, really good, down-to-earth kind of person. And his role in the team is going to be quite fascinating, especially his position that he plays and his age. And I think those are two important things to consider as to what his role will be in 2026 and beyond. So he's 28 years old. He was picked up at number 76 in the 2017 draft. He is out of contract at the end of 2026, along with 17 other players. He's 184 centimetres, 85 kilograms. So he's a good size. He's kind of one of the few forwards that we've got that you don't really classify as a tall or a small. He's kind of both. He can actually take an overhead mark. He can also got pretty good ground level skills, which in that respect, he's a little bit like Kyle Langford. Kyle Langford is a better player, but in terms of what he can give to the forward line, he's sort of, if you're an opposition coach, you think, well, do we play a smaller defender on him? Do we play a taller defender on him? You know who you're going to play on Isaac Kako, for example. You're not quite sure who to play on Guelfi, right? So he does give our forward line a bit of something different. And whilst his output has been a little questionable at times, there's no question he does give something to the team that perhaps no other player gives us, and that's that awkward-sized forward. He was moved to the forward line in 2022, really, but I think he started from memory as a sort of defender wingman. And since he moved to the forward line in 2022, he's averaged basically a goal a game or thereabouts, which is a pretty good effort given that he, from the minimal possessions that he does get. You'd have to say the investment in him has been pretty good. Whilst he hasn't been a superstar or anything, to get picked up at pick number 76 in the 2017 draft, you know, he's played 121 games and kicked 69 goals, and that's really a goal a game over the last 3 or 4 years, notwithstanding he has had injury problems in that, and that is something that he's going to have to address, and that is something the club is going to have to consider going forward if he can't get over those injury issues. So last year he was rated as the club's 32nd best player. He played 12 games, had a nasty hamstring injury, which kept him out for a large portion of the season, averaged 9.2 disposals, 4.4 contested possessions, 1.8 marks. He chipped in for 9 goals. Importantly, he had averages 2.9 tackles. Now, why do I say that? You think, well, so what, 2.9 tackles? That doesn't sound like that much. He's actually rated above average in that category. And it's not just so much the tackle number. He averages, 3 tackles a game, and he only averages 9 disposals a game. So he's an exceptionally hard-working forward. And I don't think people often give him the credit that he deserves for this. He is really a hard-working small forward. He's a very hard-tackling, hard-working player. If you can average 3 tackles, or a tackle for every 3 possessions that you have, that's pretty elite, right? That's one aspect of his game you would never question. His effort and intent as a defensive small forward, I think, has been absolutely fantastic. Yes, he's limited in other parts of his game, right? But really, I think that part of his game, his forward pressure, is what he gives us. And I think it's probably the main asset that he brings to the team, along with that awkward size that he's at that makes opposition coaches kind of not quite sure who to place on him. So he's the kind of player that he can rely on chaos, not structure, to score. Well, I don't think our sort of stop-start play last year helped him. I think he would thrive in a more chaotic environment. And I noticed in that video I made the other day talking about some of the pre-season training, the club did mention they're looking for a more chaos-oriented approach. I think that will help someone like Guelfi. He has been hampered, of course, by soft tissue injuries, as we know. But one thing he does have, he's spotless in terms of his off-field profile. He says that the modelling stuff doesn't come naturally to him. I disagree. I think he's being modest. I think the modelling stuff comes extremely natural to him, and I think he's just saying that as a bit of a joke. But anyway, that is just a bit of an aside. So the positives, the things he can bring to our team next year, obviously his pressure and tackling, he needs to do that. That's been his kind of modus operandi. He needs to keep doing that, and he's one of the best in the AFL at doing that. 3 tackles for every possession that you get, basically. Oh, sorry, a tackle for every 3 possessions that you can get. That's a pretty good effort, especially for a defensive small forward. He is versatile, even though we have played him more as a forward in the last few years. He can play up the ground if we need him to be. He's proven that at other points of his career. We don't use him these days that much in that role, but he certainly can use. He's played on a wing before, and he's even played in defence earlier in his career. He's also quite efficient. He is a accurate kick for goal, and you would kind of trust him if he's having a shot at goal. Weaknesses, his durability. Like so many players on our list, he's had injury problems, and they're soft tissue injury problems, and these tend to get worse as you get older. He's now 28, so there's a doubt on whether at his age what his future at the club is long term. I think his future at the club this year is kind of important because our forward stocks, our small forward stocks, in some ways are kind of depleted, and I'm making an assumption that Hussein Al-Achkar won't quite be ready yet this year. He might chip in for a couple of games, but I'm making an assumption he won't quite be ready. So that means that Guelfi, it will actually be more of a focal point down there as a small forward, especially given the continuing lingering question marks over Gresham as well, who was dropped last year late in the season. So Gresham might not be in our best 23. So that kind of leaves Kako down there, and Guelfi. Unwin's another one, another small forward, but like I'm not quite sure he's ready yet either. So I think Guelfi's spot in the team next year in the best 23s, I think he probably is in the best 23. I was pondering this and I was thinking, well, with the lack of small forwards and the assumption that a couple of them might not be ready, he probably holds a position in the side. And I think just his experience, his tackling, his pressure, his accurate kicking, and a kind of a foil down there for Kako as the other non-tall small forward kind of gives him something positive to add to the team. He can be kind of inconsistent, it has to be said. You know, he doesn't produce huge volume of numbers. So when he does get the ball, he needs to make use of it. He needs to be efficient. So he can't really afford to make mistakes. He's only getting 9 possessions a game. So he can tend to have games where he doesn't contribute all that much. It has to be said. I guess that's kind of like any forward. And he rarely explodes for what I would call big games. You know, I can't remember him, you know, exploding for a 5 or 6 goal performance or anything like that. He normally is, you know, he normally might kick his 1 or 2 and that's it at a maximum. So what questions will be asked for Matt Guelfi going into 2026? Well, the first one, and probably the most important that he's got to answer, is can he conquer his injury gremlins? He's had 3 straight years now of soft tissue disruptions with calf and hamstring injuries. Can he get over that? It's so important for him because his career is probably going to be on the line. He's coming out of contract at the end of 2026 and the club is going to have to make some tough decisions on him if he can't get on the park. Will his pressure translate to consistent scoring impact? We know he's a good pressure player. That's what he does best. Can he turn that into more goals? If we're a better team, I think it will translate into more goals. He might get more opportunities down there. If Kako improves and gets better, that will open up more opportunities for him down there. And in a better team, hopefully we're a better team next year, can that pressure of his translate into more scoring impact? The third question I've got is, can he get a contract extension? I'm iffy on this. This is going to be a tough one. You kind of look at him and you think, yeah, he probably deserves another contract, but we thought that about Will Setterfield, didn't we? And it didn't. And Setterfield's no longer with us. So I kind of have him in the same boat, different type of player, but you know, where he's kind of good enough to be in the best 23, but in terms of long-term decisions, this is what the club is going to have to make at the end of the year. Not whether he's in the best 23 necessarily, so I think he is, but what's his future at the club in terms of his age, 28 years old, and what is he going to bring to the team? I think he's going to be somewhat important next year, but down the track, they're going to have to make a very, very tough decision on him at the end of 2026. So that's Matt Guelfi. What do you think of Matt Guelfi? Do you think he will be an important contributor for us in 2026? Do you agree with me that with the absence of quite a lot of small forwards, assuming some aren't going to be ready, Unwin, Al-Achkar, they might be ready. I'm just assuming they perhaps will need more reserves time. With the absence of some of them, do you think that that opens up the door for him to be more of a contributor in the forward line? And of course, with the continued question marks on Jade Gresham as well, I think it opens up some real possibilities for Guelfi. And if he can get on the park and play a full season, which he hasn't been able to do for 3 years now, there's every opportunity he can get a contract extension, but it's certainly not guaranteed. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you guys think of Matt Guelfi. Leave a like, make a comment. Let me know everything that you think about Matt Guelfi. If there's anything I've missed, do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? I'd really like to know. I'm going to leave it there. Have a great day, everybody. And as always, go Bombers.